Oh, yeah. Wait a minute.
That's what I thought I saw, but I'm not going to comment. Okay. There we go. And that I think the title of that is Santa gets a Chevra Torah lesson. Okay. So we'll do that. And Donna, you are good to see you with the bracelet, with everything, Howard. Okay, no, cool, excellent. Let's get started. Uh, this is a tough time for me because I have to say, next week we finish the book of Genesis. What the hell are you doing here? My grandson Gabriel has apparently joined the flock. I didn't exactly expect that. Wait a second. Where am I? Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh,
Okay. That's very nice. You never know who's Maya's there. Okay, you never know who's going to join. Gabriel is a student at Carnegie Mellon, and I have not yet succeeded in convincing him that being a rabbi would be much better than being a money manager kind of a thing. But we're working on that. Okay. I'm shocked. Okay, so I'm happy you're here. Okay, that's very nice. Abby?
Hi. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Oh, okay. So the point I was making is next week, Cindy letter. Sydney, next week is time for a siyum, and I have bought my own herring. Yeah, I know. And so I'm asking everybody, please bring, I'm trying to be modern, bring crudité to the siyum next week. A little bit of food. I'm going to have a little bit of drink, and we'll have a little bit of food and celebrate the end of this go round with the book of Genesis. Okay, so that takes care of that important announcement. Then, here I'm doing announcements because we are family, and because we trust each other, and because we care for each other. I wanted to let you know that on Sunday evening, December 24th, Risa and I will be participating in a universal Jewish Chinese food celebration.
Oh.
Okay, it is an ancient tradition, I think, hearkening back perhaps to the first temple. I'm not sure exactly, but that's what we're going to be doing. And then Wednesday, December 27th, noon, current events. Cindy, do you have any sisterhood announcements or anything?
Yeah. Next Friday, the 29th, we're having Shabbat dinner at Froman's. According to the calendar.
Can you hear? Yeah. Okay.
According to the calendar, services will only be online. So if you want, we'd love to have you join us. Froman's 6 o'clock next Friday.
How about leasing a very big television screen and bringing services to Froman's?
Where is Froman's? What is
19th in Wilshire in Santa Monica.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'd like to see Robert.
I just want to say I will not be joining you because I will be at St. John's Hospital having my hip replaced.
Aw.
Doris, was that you?
That was me. Yeah.
oh, Doris, we'll be praying for you, honey.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
praying for me too.
And then you'll be pain-free.
I'm hoping so because the pain has been pretty awful.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm
Doris,
thinking of you. Think of me. Say a prayer for me.
we will do that. And Doris,
Yes.
I want to point out that the Miami Dolphins need a kicker. So if you come out of this okay, there is a future for you in professional sports.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, that'll be good.
I
Really,
can use my right foot instead of my left. Okay.
all right. Our prayers are with you. We'll certainly be thinking about you.
Thank you very much.
good luck and success. Other checking in, besides the fact that I'm flabbergasted because Gabriel is sitting behind me. Beyond that, hi, Susie. I didn't say hello to you yet.
I have one thing to check in with. My grandson is getting bar mitzvah next year, and he said the whole via hafta to me over FaceTime the other night. He said it all by himself.
Aw.
How fabulous.
I got
All
shit.
right. Okay, let's stop being so happy. I'm in a down mood. I don't really resonate with your joy, but that's great, Susie. That's terrific.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Anyone else has anything else to share before we jump forward? Anything else in terms of checking in your family and how you're doing? Okay. All right, good.
Well, today is the first anniversary of my husband's yard site, and we were married 54 years. So I'm here to say Kaddish.
Beautiful.
And we will be saying Kaddish with you. You know that. We will be saying Kaddish with you. All right. Now, we are going to go second last Sedra in the book of Genesis. I'm so happy to be with everybody. This is really just very, don't tell anybody else that we meet this way. Let's just keep it like ours. Genesis 44:18. Genesis 44:18. And I'm going to find a page. Genesis 45, 44,
287.
287. Now, 287, 44:18. This year, I've been turning to passages that we really haven't looked at before. Some were extremely difficult. This passage reads too simply. It is very nice. As a matter of fact, when I went through my prep for today's class, I noticed that Rashi and Ibn Ezra and Ramban and all those other good people had very little to say about this. They had very little to say, and I think they missed a lot when they looked at it. So we're going to try to dig into this, and we're going to start with a question. Who can give me any kind of information about Judah? Judah. Do you know anything? Do you remember anything? Does the name Judah strike a bell? Because this is all about Judah. As a matter of fact, this is the largest single speech, in the Torah. It's a major speech, okay? One of the most important and certainly the longest speeches. Cindy.
I think it was his idea to sell Joseph rather than kill him. And he became a very important, strong leader of the different tribes.
Okay, both points are absolutely correct. We first really get to see Judah when he is the project manager for selling Joseph into Egypt. Okay? And I would like to believe that it's possible that Joseph may not have forgotten that moment. Okay? So, hi, Abby Barron. Hi. And Fern. Shabbat Shalom. So that's, yeah. What else do we know about Judah? There is much more about Judah. Anything. We'll give you a good 5 seconds.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Risa, are you saying something? What?
Aviva's here. Bye.
What was that?
Aviva.
Aviva's here. Got the whole family. I want a lot of credit for the entire family. Okay, the mishpacha. Hi. Hello. Hi, that's Gabriel. Okay. All right, I'm flustered. The Judah was the fourth of the 6 sons of Leah and Jacob. Okay, he was the fourth. So if you're going to look for primogeniture or any kind of like built-in status, Judah didn't have it. Fourth of the 6 sons of the less favored wife. That's one thing to think about. He engineered the sale of Joseph. Fine. One other big story about Judah. Come on, folks, dig into your feminist liturgy and readings and all.
I have another point on that. Judah was Caleb was from the tribe of Judah, and Joshua was a tribe of Ephraim. In the spies, they had the favorable report. These 2 people, tribal heads, had favorable reports of the promised land, and the rest were things. So Judah and Ephraim's tribe survived, and the northern kingdom just disappeared with the rest of the 10 tribes.
Okay, I'm not going to get into the fact that the northern kingdom didn't just disappear. We're going to let that one ride because it's a little complicated. Judah, let me help you. I'm a little surprised. I'm going to say one word. See if this stimulates something. Tamar. Did that stimulate? Nothing. Okay, good. Now, first of all, your homework assignment is to read up on Jewish feminist literature. Okay. Secondly, Judah had 3 sons. His first married this lovely young lady, Tamar. He then died. According to Jewish law, what happens if you have a man marrying a woman, no children, the husband dies? Who has next right to marry her? An obligation.
The next
Okay,
one-
Fern.
The brother?
We're waiting for Fern. Okay, Fern, the brother. The brother has the right of redemption. We even see that in the book of Ruth, and that's part of the story that goes on in there. So the second son marries Tamar. We're not going into the whole story. He dies. And Judah has one more son. And he does what I think any careful father would have done. He sends his son, the third one, to Afghanistan or something. He just gets rid of him. Go away. Don't get near that woman. Okay? So in a sense, violated Jewish law. Tamar, and I'm not doing justice to the story, but Tamar is a little peeved. She believes that she has the right to marry the third son. He has the obligation to marry her. Boom, she's not happy. She dresses up like a
prostitute.
Like a prostitute. I was going to say harlot, prostitute works.
Tamara doesn't agree.
No, excuse me. I have screwed up something. Tamara, fix me.
No, everyone makes that mistake. She veils herself. She changes her clothes from widow clothes to something else, and she veils herself. He is going to think she is a harlot. But it doesn't mean that she acted or presented herself as a harlot. She was simply covered with a veil. And he didn't recognize her, and he thought she was a prostitute. Detail. It's an important story, and the details are important.
Very
Detail,
important.
details are important. And I would say, she dressed herself up, she put the veil on, but she wasn't pretending to be an available woman. Okay. I would never
I did
question.
say that all she does is she goes and sits in a place called Petach Einayim, which means the opening of the eyes. So it's a kind of a crossroad. After his wife, Judah's wife, dies, it's time to take care of the sheep. So he's on his way, trotting to take care of the sheep, and he sees this veiled woman at the place called Petach Einayim, and he goes to her and he assumes she is a harlot, and he says, "Can I come into you?" That's the story.
Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, I accept that with a little bit of an italics. Okay, now the bottom line is Judah does have carnal relations with this woman, and this woman who is not playing the prostitute gets gifts from him. Okay. And without going into all the details, she is pregnant. He accuses her, his twice daughter-in-law, of being a harlot. He accuses her. And then she reveals that he is the father. Now, the story is beautiful, it's long, and there are lots. Tamara is having a fit. Okay.
No, it's the last line of that story is that he says, "She is more righteous than I, because I did not fulfill my obligation." So he and God approve of what she did. I just wanted to make sure.
I mean,
okay.
I'm so glad that God approved. Cool. I mean, that makes me happy. Now, the point being, she has twins. One of the twins is Perez. Perez is understood by Jewish tradition to be the progenitor of King David. Okay? Of King David. So in the line of Judah, Perez, King David. There are those who say that within Christian tradition, Perez is the progenitor of Jesus. So we are at a very interesting crossroads that no one pays any attention to, and yet Jewish tradition, Christian tradition have a really strong, significant, in a way, difference to how this plays out. So Jesus will be assumed to be a descendant of Judah through Perez. We go on. King David. And if it's not Jesus, then ultimately the Messiah. All the product of this story. And it kind of is hidden away in our Sedra. And we read it and don't pay attention. One of the things I do warmly recommend is that you read some of the feminist literature dealing with Tamar. It's rich and it's wonderful, and it's worth an investment of time. Now, so here we have Judah, 4th of 6th, a dalliance with Tamar, marketed his brother to be sold to Egypt. And now, as our Sedra begins, Judah now approaches Joseph. Do you understand how that very simple phrase, that simple phrase disguises a wealth of background. And you miss it if you don't have the background. Now, Judah approaches Joseph. The situation is Joseph wants control over Benjamin. Judah is pushed to be the leader. And this is a confrontation. And we have to read it with care. By your leave, my lord, please give your servant a hearing, and do not let your anger flare up at your servant, for you are like Pharaoh. Role playing, you are Judah, you're in the presence of Joseph, second to Pharaoh. Things are tough, and you are feeling pushed against the wall. What is the tone of your voice? Now, it's not in the text, so we have to put it there. What is the tone of your voice? How are you addressing Joseph? Sukasa?
That he's like royalty almost.
No, Joseph is royalty.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's with deference. He's addressing him with deference.
Okay, so when he says, by your leave, be Adonai, please, my lord, please give your servant a hearing and do not let your anger flare up at your servant, for you are like Pharaoh, showing deference. Any other possibilities? Any other?
Anger.
I'm sorry, raise your hand because I can't see your voice.
I can't because I'm painting.
I can't do it either.
Okay, who is that?
Helen.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now, please, what does Joseph's voice sound like?
Submissive. The brother is submissive.
Okay, and I wonder, Brad?
Well, I wonder if there maybe is a touch of irony in what he's saying, because there's a truth in that he's become very much like Pharaoh. I mean, from my perspective, he's exercising a great deal of cruelty against his brothers, playing this game. I think it's gotten to his head, and he's acting very phlegmatically.
I did something I had not done before. My Thursday evening Facebook posting was a snide personal attack on Joseph. I see Joseph as expressing himself in two different ways. In some ways, of course, every time I hear Joseph, I want to sing Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. I want to do that, but thank God I don't. The Joseph in these scenes could be read as cruel, manipulative, cat and mouse, tough to deal with. So Judah is speaking to a man whom he believes has been at the easiest unjust, but more directly cruel and manipulative. I see Brad. Brad, were you up? No. Okay. I missed. I saw a hand and it went away. Okay.
It was me.
Okay. Then what about you?
Ultimately, Joseph is going to take care of his family. And it seems to me at some level, he's entitled to be cruel to these people who, if they'd actually gotten their way, Joseph would be dead. I mean, it seems like the little game and the temporary cruelty is, in some in some level justified. I think he's entitled to get back at his brothers.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a course, who knows when, on the difference between defeating an enemy and taking vengeance. And I would like to suggest to you that those are different things. And in some ways, hear me carefully and then yell, in some ways, part of the way the Netanyahu government is handling Gaza today has moved over into vengeance as opposed to military defeat. Having said that,
I'm not saying vengeance. I'm just saying a little bit of payback. They're not even ultimately hurt by this other than maybe a little bit to their feelings. He's giving them food. He's giving them all kinds of things.
Okay, Rebecca.
But on the other hand, Joseph is displaying behavior that he exhibited that got him into trouble in the first place.
I'm going to let that sit. I think that's very appropriate. And I don't want you all to click off and go have a second breakfast. I'm going to let that sit, that Joseph is a bit problematic here. And the rabbis look at 44:18, for you are like Pharaoh, and they read it differently. Don't let your anger flare up at your servant, that's me, because if you do, what will happen to Pharaoh in the time of Moses is going to happen to you. That's the way some of the commentators want to read this. So when they read, for you were like Pharaoh, ki chamocha kafaro, in your future, O Joseph, high and mighty Joseph, if you don't treat us well, you're going to get what later on Pharaoh gets in the time of Moses. This is a little bit of a push. I just found it interesting. They're having trouble figuring out what voice does Judah bring to this particular story. Now, I want to go through this long speech just down to 29. For you were like Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servants, do you have a father or a brother? We said, we have an aged father and a young boy of his old age, whose full brother is dead. Full stop. Is that true? Does Judah know that Joseph is dead?
No.
No. What do we call a statement to a leader which is not true?
A lie.
Thank you. Yes.
You know it's a lie.
There's a lawyer in the room. You're going with, okay, fine. In my humble rabbi view, Judah just uttered a lie, whose full brother is dead. Aged father, young boy, full brother is dead. He alone was left of his mother, and so his father loves him. The English translation puts in all the more. The Hebrew just says, Va'aviv ahivo. And his dad loves him. Can you picture post-selling Joseph to Egypt? Judah stands up before Tzafnat Paneach, the second in command of Pharaoh, and says in front of the other brothers that which Joseph had been saying, which caused him to be thrown in a pit. And his father loved him more than he loved us. This is amazing. This is amazing in this very simple little speech.
Rabbi, may I say something, please?
Who is that, please?
Donna, my name is Donna.
Okay.
I think there's a real serious jealous problem here because he was so favored by his father. And when people are very successful, when they come out of poverty, they're very successful. People were like, Well, we knew you were going to make it, but they're jealous. They're jealous, but the jealousy, there was a role there in him being thrown in the pit, right, Rabbi? I mean, they were very jealous of him.
Yeah. You are right. They were very jealous. You folks are writing so many interesting things. Tamara says, oops, I have to leave the class. Fine. Eric says, I'm going to go to a Chinese buffet in Fort Lauderdale. Tamara says, both sons died because they did something wicked. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
What was the name of the second son of Judah? Onan. O-N-A-N. Do you have any clue as to what he did that was wicked?
Onanism. He masturbated instead of having
Yep. We're moving
sexual relations.
We're moving right ahead. But onanism is in fact derivative of the name Onan. Okay. Now, Tamara, you said you have one more important thing to drop in. Please, where are you? Are you gone now? Did I miss you? Okay.
She said she was leaving.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll have to pick that up. Conundrum, Steve asks. Jesus is descended from David through Joseph, but Joseph wasn't his father. Jesus is descended from David, though through Joseph, all right, but Joseph wasn't his father if Mary was a virgin. I am not an expert in Christian theology, but the virgin birth was the birth of Mary, not how she gave birth to Jesus. Do you catch the difference? I could be wrong on that, but that's how I believe it to be true. That Mary is the product of a virgin birth, not that Jesus of Mary was born of a virgin birth. We'll have to look at that.
I've never heard that before. It's amazing. I like it.
Larry says not only it is a lie, but it's a lie that the listener knows. And yes, that's true. We're going on. This is such a simple passage, which isn't simple again. We said to my Lord, you then said to your servants, bring Benjamin down here. Let me set eyes on him. We said, the kid can't leave his father. If the kid leaves his father, Jacob will die. You then said to your servants, if Benjamin doesn't come on, you'll never see my face again. In other words, Joseph had said to the brothers, if you don't bring Benjamin with you, the next time you come down to Egypt for food in the time of famine, you won't get anything. You will not be admitted to my presence. So that's what it was. So when we went up to your servant, my father went to Dad, told him this. Our father said, go back and buy us food. We said, we can't go down without Benjamin because he won't be allowed to see the man's face. But then Jacob said to us, you know that of the two my wife bore me, one is gone from my side. And I said, surely he's been ripped to shreds. I haven't seen him to this day. And if you take this one too from me, some calamity befalls me, you will lower my gray head to Sheol. First of all, we pick up Sheol, right? We pick up Sheol. There is no hell. There is no end following death. There is a half end, which is Sheol, in which the dead go and have a kind of a half life. That was one of the original forms of understanding of Judaism as to what happens after death. So we'll go down to Sheol. But I am looking here. My father said to us, you know that of the two, what's the next phrase? My wife. the rabbis pick up on this too. Wait a second. How many wives did Jacob have? He had Rachel, he had Leah, and he had the two.
We had Potiphar's daughter. Right? Didn't he marry her?
No. He
Wasn't
had
he given her?
He had Bilnah and Ziphrah.
He had the two maidservants who became wives. The 12 sons who become the 12 tribes are the product of Jacob and 4 different women. Even though we call them the 4 everything and it's good, 4. And here, Judah says that his father said, you know that of the 2 my wife bore me, one is gone. Tell me about Jacob's attachment to Rachel. What do you feel here? This is very special. Cindy.
It's the only one he voluntarily married.
Okay, you can say that Rachel was the only wife that Jacob chose, right?
And loved the most.
And loved the most and never stopped loving her throughout her life. That's a beautiful little place. It also is terribly troubling if you're one of the other 3.
Especially Leah.
Okay, it's there. And now let's go to verse 30. If I go to Jacob and the lad is not with us, if I go to Joseph and he sees that the lad is not there, if I bring Benjamin to Joseph, whoever he was, Jacob's going to die. We'll have lost his last connection with Rachel. Remember, how did Rachel die?
Childbirth.
In childbirth to Benjamin. Joseph, Benjamin, Rachel. If I bring Benjamin down to Joseph, and my father finds out that Benjamin is no more, whatever, you're going to kill my father. For your servant made himself responsible for the lad. I, your servant, I, Judah, made myself responsible, saying, if I don't bring him back to him, I will stand guilty before my father at all times. Now we conclude. So now, please let your servant remain as my Lord's slave in place of Benjamin. Let Benjamin go home. How can I go home without Benjamin and see that Dad is going to die? I ask you again, what was the tone that Judah brought to this very fraught conversation?
Was he begging?
Was he begging? Maybe. Or was he being insistent? Risa?
I was going to say he was being demanding.
Very interesting. We don't have the answer. It's here. But the speech between Judah and Joseph is the turning point of the entire book of Genesis. The entire book of Genesis. I want to, yeah. Okay. How do I know that? How do I know that? Look at chapter 45, verse 1, the very next line. page 288. Look at that. If I can't go home to my father without Benjamin, Dad will die. Let me stay here and be your slave, Joseph, but send Benjamin home. And what's the immediate reaction? And this is the turning point of the entire book of Genesis. It's why the book of Genesis was written. Right here. Joseph could no longer restrain himself before all who was standing, and so he cried, "Send everyone away from him," so that no one else was there when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. Why is this so important? This is hugely important. This speech from Judah pushed Joseph. Why is it so important?
May I say something, Rabbi?
Please.
Because at the time, the appropriate time was in to be revealed of the whole reason why everything happened, with Joseph being sold in slavery to redeem Israel and the famine. And it's like history does repeat itself.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. What is going on with Joseph here? Joseph is losing the facade of being a pure Egyptian, which he never was. And at this moment, Judah has penetrated Joseph's defenses. And Joseph now says, "Oh, I can't continue this any further. This is my family." Steve Miller.
That's all from Joseph's point of view. If Joseph weren't in charge of all of this food and the ability to save the family, would these other brothers really want anything to do with him despite the passage of all the years?
Say that again, please, so I can handle it. I'm not quite following.
Okay. Well, Joseph is willing to forgive and go back and accept his family. Why did the brothers who had cut him off were willing to see him dead if Joseph had not been in the position to give them food and save the family and the famine and everything else? Why would those, absent those circumstances, I wonder if the brothers would, even after a passage of years, want anything to do with Joseph?
It's a fine question. Anyone want to jump in?
Yeah, I will, if I may, please. I think it's because the things happen in families. God's design is so perfect. We as humans don't always understand. And I can correlate. I'm not going to go into my family, but I want to tell you one thing. Lord Jacob Rothschild contacted me. He's the biggest benefactor.
Okay, we're not doing Donna.
Rabbi,
we're not
about,
doing that.
I know you're not. I know you're not. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. You'll find out later.
Okay, super. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, you're asking whether the brothers, after Joseph was sold off into Egypt and his father was very upset, whether the brothers regretted what they did. Oh, hi. I haven't seen you in a long time. It's good to see you. Hi, it's good to see you.
I disagree with Steve because I think the text that is assigned to Judah very much suggests.
Okay, something's happening with the phone playing next to. Please shut it off. I'm sorry.
I think the text assigned to Judah in this section strongly suggests that Judah, and by extension, all of the brothers, have understood and regret the devastating impact they had on Jacob from the disappearance of Joseph, and they don't want to repeat anything like that. So that while, yes, Benjamin is a different person, the whole passage suggests that Jacob experienced such grief and agony at losing Joseph, they would never inflict that pain on their father again. So I think it shows that over the years they do regret their action. They caused their father terrible pain, and ideally they've understood that their action was horrible, punitive, vengeful, and motivated by the basest emotions. I mean, that's, I think, more of an extension than one can properly give.
Well said.
Okay, would anyone else like to jump in on this? This pure hypothetical. We're trying to put ourselves in the position, and it's almost impossible. But did the brothers regret? I have only one hint. What happens after Jacob dies? Do you remember? We haven't read that yet. But what happens after Jacob dies?
They take his bones back to the...
Okay, hold it. We're raising our hands, and that's
Yes,
a
sir.
very important process.
Yes, sir.
What happens after Jacob dies? What do the brothers do? They go before Joseph, and they say, basically, before he died, Dad, Jacob, left a message. Tell Joseph to take care of you, and it's my desire that you be protected and that you forgive. What does, by the way, that never happened. It's not in the text. Nowhere do we know that Jacob said that. The assumption is they invented that. They invented that. Why? Why?
Because it's the right thing to do.
Okay, please.
I'm sorry, Ellie.
Please. Brad.
No, I'm not. I have a different point, Rabbi, so you can come back to me.
I will come back to you. My feeling is, and it's just me, my feeling is the brothers, when they realized that this is Joseph, gave expression to profound guilt that they felt. They felt guilt. I'm not sure whether guilt is the same thing as regret. There is a difference. But the brothers stood before Joseph. Jacob is gone, and now they are desperately afraid that Joseph will turn against them, because maybe that's the kind of people they were many years ago. This is an incredible family drama. I'm not sure. No. I have no way of believing that the brothers lived the next 20 years after Joseph disappeared with regret for what they did, until it became clear that if they give away Benjamin the way they gave away Joseph, their father will die. That's regret. I'm not sure that they had any better feelings about Joseph as a young man. I don't know if any of you want to come
Rabbi,
in. Please, yes.
Rabbi, I just want to comment on this speech as sort of if you think of it as a rhetorical exercise, where rhetoric is the art of persuasion. And what Judah does is he uses the parental love card. And he uses it very effectively because that's a universal. Whether you're Pharaoh or whether you're the guy on the street, that is something that you can tap into. And that's why he's effective in having Joseph finally acknowledge himself.
Right.
He's used that parental love card, and he's hammered it home.
The thing that we have to keep remembering, of course, is that at this moment, Judah doesn't know who Safnat Paneach Joseph is, right? He still thinks he's talking to the second of Pharaoh. He uses the card. I want to show you, Brad, that I did extensive preparation for today. Do you know that Judah used the word my father or father 14 times in this conversation? And it's supporting what you said. Father, the father. Do you understand this, Safnat Paneach? You have a father. We almost killed our father when Joseph disappeared. And now if Benjamin disappears, father will die. Father will die. He was playing the father card, as you pointed out, very, very rhetorically effectively, right? Very effectively. But we have to keep remembering that he didn't know who Joseph was yet. It wasn't his father. Okay. We're pretty much at the end of time. Rashi came up with something which I just want to leave you with. Let's see, going back, if something happens to Benjamin, that'll be the deal. If something happens to Benjamin, and Rashi, reflecting a wonderful Middle Ages view, put in the commentary, Satan will cause Benjamin to die in some accident if we leave him in Egypt. Rashi uses the Satan card. So into the Middle Ages, our commentators believed in the power of Satan to disrupt. I'm going to stop here. We have people joining to say Kaddish. We're going to do that. Enjoy the 24th of December. Remember that we have a Siyum next week, and that Wednesday, the 27th, is the next current events. And Cindy's program and the dinner at Froman's is the last Friday in December, right? The last Friday.
Yeah, but Susie's actually the chair of that.
Right. Okay. We got that. All right. We have one more event left for the year, but please know how special you are. And please know that this is extraordinary. I do ask, read up on Tamar in feminist literature. Read up on Tamar.
I'm going to say goodbye, Rabbi. I want to tell you John's little brother's boy's name is Benjamin. John Travolta's son's name is Benjamin. I love you guys. I got to go, and I love you so much. And Shabbat Shalom. And I'll be listening to Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. We mention the names of those who have passed away during the past month: Richard Warren Bank, Marilyn Baum, Rosie Burson, Harold Cohn Jr., Ravella Dunner, Rabbi David Ellenson, Kat Eiderman, J. Kenneth Gordon, Barry Grief, Anna Hemd, Clive Hoffman, Rachel Ray Hoffman, Donald Motley, Stephen Reed, Ronald Saul, Harvey Weiner. And yahrzeits that have occurred during the past week: Don Adlin, Abram Adler, Bella Adler, Albert Allen, Alvin Barbanel, Howard Bash, Sandra Black, Lena Berg, Emmanuel Burton, Mark Craig Kane, Seymour Cantor, Conrado Acevedo Cardenas, Barry Chasen, Rona Corna, Benjamin Codd, Dora Cohn, Gussie Dancer, Morris Danziger, Penrose Desser, Sherry DeVries, Roger Ensign, Eve Feinberg, Saul Feinstein, Jeffrey Feldman, Celia Fisher, Marion Fishman, Elizabeth Flesh, Harold Florence, Philip David Foreman, David Foster, Rudolph Fox, Betty Frankel, David Friedman, Ben Friedman, Stuart Friedman, Richard Friend, Arthur Harold Gardner, Santanu Gos, Guilford Glazer, David Golad, Phyllis Goldklang, Richard Goldman, Mary Gordon, Henrietta Gorlick, William Gray, Joel Greenberg, Susan Hamrell, Helen Hansen, Lawrence Jeffrey Heineman, William Heller, Darrell Hirsch, Louis Hyman, Marshall Jacobson, Ruth Jameson Fine, Anita Carl, Philip Kend, Lenore Kramer, Burton Kurtzman, Shirley Lackman, Marilyn Lagsam, Aaron Lask, Charles Levison, Max Levine, Herman Levitt, Jack Lipson, Oscar Loznick, Mildred Marmer, Edgar Marks, Fritz Mayer, Nathan Marin, Asher Mishkanian, Stanley Meyer, Lynn Sarah Miller, Lillian Opper, Erna Ornstein, Jeanette Pastor, Herbert Polsky, Hazel Quick, Boris Ratner, Philip Rouse, Lee Reinman, Robert Robbins, Meyer Rofe, Dessa Ross, Marion Ruvelson, Jamie Schaefer, Irving Sidney Shulman, Bella Tretiak Schwartz, Harry Siegel, Arnold Seidel, Martin Seiler, Leonard Schaefer, Dorothy Silverstein, Saul Skolnick, Nathan Smook, David Sprung, Rose Steinberg Franco, Susan Turk, Benjamin Barry Ward, Sam Weissman, Shalom Weitzman, Daniel Weeder, Sheila Bordeaux Wine, David Wolf, Bessie Wollner, Murray Zachary, Joel Zucker. Abby, we are with you in your pain. We know and we remember. If there are other names to be mentioned now, please speak their names aloud. We call to mind also those who died in defense of the United States, those who died in defense of the state of Israel, those who were slaughtered by brutal acts of terrorism, those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. We embrace them all and we join in Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah B'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavarach Li'alam li'almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Dekudisha Brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Who says shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May God, who makes peace in the high places, make peace in our hearts, make peace in our homes, make peace in the household of Israel, make peace among all the families and nations of earth, and let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Let me also remind everyone, please, to pray for Doris Rivelson as she has her surgery this coming week. And it's so good when there is a community. There is a community, Abby, in which you can share grief and loss and know that you are warmly embraced. You know that. You know that. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you all very, very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom and thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.